here with Tinthi Tembo from the BIPOC-CA, and it's great to have you here. We had a little get-together at Christmas, and our members had a wonderful auction and raised some money for some important causes in our community. And BIPOC Creative Association, the Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Creative Association, is a very valuable cause in our community. I'd love for you to just share a little insight on kind of what got you involved with it, what it is about, and what the opportunity is to get involved and learn more about it here in 2021.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. First of all, would love to thank you from the bottom of our hearts and from within for the generous donation that really meant a lot, especially given just how long it's taken to get things going and, having lots going on in your life and momentum going down. So it's been really lovely having the community kind of circle back and continue that. As we all know, last year there was a huge uprising for the BLM movement, more so than other years. And I've always marched with BLM since, it became a thing. So for me, it wasn't anything new per se. It was mainly just a resurgence of, fighting the same fight that's always being fought on a daily basis. It just so happens that people had enough time to actually listen for once. And it was so disheartening to know that I was actually right, because I always used to say, it's only going to matter when everything stops. And I said, nothing will ever stop. And so to have seen the world stop and then see people listen, that's exactly what I thought. But the window is very short, because now things are coming back into action, and it's only going to be a matter of time before we see the results. But that movement ignited a lot. Fast forward, I met with Kimani, who is the co-director of BIPOC-CA, on Zoom. Never met him before. I was connected through our friend Natasha, an ally of ours. And we got talking, and through my experience within the creative scene in Vancouver, and just starting my own venture called Origin Papers, which is a creative platform for basically building cultural leaders. So where BIPOC in general can share their stories and empower others to pursue different things in the world. Just they have different insights because of their life experiences. So I'd spoken to many people, interviewed different creatives, heard their stories and stripes, and there was a lot of discrepancy going on in Vancouver. Underground scene, parties you go to, I love going out. So I was always, at different after-hour shows. I loved festivals, and they were predominantly white spaces, and I always felt uncomfortable. So when I spoke to Kimani, he was like, we have to do something. Like, we have great talent around and no one gets anywhere. So boom, within 2 hours on a Zoom call, we were ready to launch a protest. And so we decided, all right, going to be July 1st, and we're going to title it Culture Day. And so that's what we did. We gathered all the networks we knew of the different local artists that, other people might know as well that are Black and Indigenous. And we had a successful demonstration at Trout Lake. And the emotion it evoked within the community, and seeing that kind of turnout and seeing what it was doing to people and what they were realizing was missing and just in their backyards, them thinking, this is a culture hungry city, so they're always complaining, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. People are here. This is a very metropolitan place, but it's who has the keys to the door, who's letting you in, who's allowing you to do the event. So it's like so many people have had the opportunities, maybe not paid or underpaid, or just not even invited to the space. So it was like, okay, first of all, Canada Day is a sensationalizing of genocide, so we had a problem with that. Got to the protests, and then it all kind of like tied in to really celebrate the cultures that shape us. And yes, after that, everyone, basically said, please, can this stay? Can this become an organization? And that's when we were like, okay, I think there's a community need,
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was really receiving it. The momentum was strong, and there was a sense of community building that, these artists felt like we now have an umbrella support system, someone who can be our voice and we can gather together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a power in numbers. So instead of begging to be like at the table, we'll just freaking create our own and decide who sits at it. So that's what BIPOC-CA is people coming together to reclaim the space that they already take up. It just needs to become more visible. So we are that conduit to, making that possible between people and connecting.
Can you think of a recent example perhaps of an individual that really embodies the aims and aspirations of what the organization is trying to achieve? Is there someone that stands out that has benefited from the work or the community building that you've done that you can think of and maybe share and just kind of contextualize and humanize that narrative for us? Because that's powerful.
I mean, all the 30 artists that participated in Culture Day. So we fundraised $12,000, and that was split evenly between all the presenters and performers, and they each got honorariums, and that was a huge part of the mandate. We had 8 demands, which I can guide you to, but
Sure.
One of which is, demanding that the appropriation of our cultures for profit, while we're not at the forefront of that, is what needs to stop. So this was an example to show how to engage with the culture moving forward. Everyone is willing to share their cultural background and whatnot, but they need to feel like they're being compensated in some way, just like anyone else believes that their voice is powerful enough that if you ask them to come and do a speech, they'll charge you $5,000 to speak. We're no different. We're so ready to collaborate, but make sure you're remaining professional and don't lose sight of what's going on simply because they're a different color from you. The business still remains the same, and they need to benefit that way. So now, what's happening is we're about to have our website release on February 1st.
Oh, wonderful. What's the web address?
It's going to be bipoc-ca.org.
Okay.
And over there, we'll be starting to launch off some workshops, because there's a lot of healing that needs to happen within the communities, and also just learn from each other about our different cultures. Like, Indigenous culture is being suppressed so much so that we struggle to know how to engage in even learning about it. So there's a lot to be learned within the association, and this is, we're trying to create a space where there is a safe space to learn and engage in that dialogue. So those are our plans moving forward, is to create these different workshops, healing workshops, training, for different aspects of the creative industry. So would like for, people who have different interests, we'll have different fundraising campaigns going on. But, for instance, if you are interested in becoming a connoisseur of tinctures, we want to be able to provide different scholarships or programmings where, our community association members can go seek out that education, so that we're trying to help everyone elevate together, because we're trying to eliminate that idea of competition. Everyone has a place, and it would be so much more fruitful if there were more people in the environment. It becomes more exciting because you have so many different ideas to bounce off. So even with creativity, alongside with cannabis, and that's why I see so much potential with the two, because they go hand in hand. It's kind of like a, double entendre kind of vibe. So music and that world go together, and it's a form of expression, and we do want people to be in the markets. So
And cannabis is a powerful tool for inspiration, for healing, for wholeness, stress management. Those industries are extremely stressful when you're a creative artist. It's feast or famine a lot of the time. And this is obviously an organization, BIPOC-CA, that's working to create an even playing field and provide a resource base that is respectful and recognizes their journey and their uniqueness in what they can bring to the table for creative expression. So we look forward at the co-op to really advancing not only creative capacities in our community, but looking at being leaders in this new cannabis renaissance for the smaller scale producer. To really lead in the regulated space and to really, internalize what the meaning is in terms of inclusivity and diversity, and to really represent that at a board level, at an operations level. I think of a lot of innovative programs that we could look at collaborating with you and brainstorming around in terms of transferable work skills into the industry. We're going to see quite an acceleration of small scale producers and processors and brands in British Columbia in particular, and the co-op hopes to be an accelerant for all of that, where Black, Indigenous, people of color can come who have been working in the shadows or in the unregulated markets that haven't seen an opportunity that they vibe with yet, right? It was all for profit, all for shareholders. Now we're shifting into, it's for consumers, it's for community, it's for inclusivity. It's about recognizing the need to be diverse and through that enjoy the strength and the benefits that come with that. When you look at a garden, and the diversity and ecosystem that's in that, it's not just one plant that's thriving. It's a whole host of organisms and mycelium networks and root bases and soil compositions that come together to make that a strong, virulent, and sustainable expression of life. And I really, really believe in the power of diversity and inclusivity in terms of strengthening the corporate model in a regulated environment. And we do have to, pick up our bootstraps here and actually get into the regulated environment, but we have to do that in a way that is sensitive to the context and the plight of those before us. And I think, BIPOC communities have learned those lessons and bear those consequences the most sometimes, and have had the least opportunity to get the economic advantage that the regulated environment presented. So, we at the co-op are very sensitive to that. I, as a member of the founding team, and as a part of the membership committee, look to really be sensitive to being as inclusive and sensitive to that conversation as possible. And we'll look to you for some guidance on that as you
develop. I was even just about to ask, what kind of, how are you approaching that right now?
That's a great question. And that's going to be an ongoing conversation because we're also very new as well. We just incorporated last September.
Oh, okay.
So it's a new journey for us. We've gathered over 200 members representing interests from across the industry. A lot of women, a lot of minority and underrepresented communities are coming to the table now because they're seeing the opportunity. And we're very, very excited to be the inclusive arm of the cannabis emerging growth spurt that we're in right now. Micro cultivators, micro processors, small scale producers and brand developers are going to have a place in the regulated environment because the consumers need and want and recognize and love those products. And that model has been proven in the unregulated space and in the legacy market, and it's going to continue to prove true now that this new renaissance is upon us, and we see that it's about people, not profit. So we'll look to include you in some of our discussions in that regard, and get educated on how we can operate better and more efficiently, and translate that into actionable steps at the operational and governance level of the organizations that come to us as members. So I'm definitely encouraged and excited to go on that journey with you. And we're very grateful for the work you do at BIPOC-CA. So thank you so much for your time. We're going to look forward. We'll post the link to your website. It launches February 1st. That's going to be bipoc-ca.org.
Yes.
And we'll look forward to, we got an event coming up in April where we'll look to collaborate again. So
yes, I look forward to that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.